Welcome to the top secret road.cc destruction facility just outside the office in Bar. Leaving your bike at the hands of a thief can be a pretty nerve-wracking prospect, but will spending more on a lock actually keep it any safer? So what we've got is a selection of locks, a whole different variety of prices and styles. Yeah. So we've got a chain lock,
yes.
We've got some D-locks, we've got folding locks.
Yeah, we've got other bigger D-locks that claim to be angle grinder resistant.
I think you're gonna have a hard time with that one.
Got a couple of wearable locks, and yeah, we're gonna give them all the same treatment. If we think we're going to get through them with some bolt croppers, then we'll have a minute with the bolt croppers. We've got some 24-inch bolt croppers, which are what a thief would normally use. You can get them down your trousers. Yeah. And after that, it's 2 minutes with the angle grinder, with a brand new blade, with a brand new battery straight off the charger. Yeah. Everyone gets 2 minutes, and we'll see if we can get through them.
Now, obviously, we've done everything we can to make sure this is a fair test, but this isn't a lab test, is it?
It's not a lab test, no. I mean, it's me looking at these locks, seeing where I think they're going to be most vulnerable, and then, yeah, giving it my best shot.
Right then, conclusion time.
A lot of locks got broked.
They did.
A lot of locks got broked.
So
here's the pile.
Yeah, so from a thief's perspective, what did we find?
I think we found that there is a very definite point at which locks get good. There's a lot of...
I think it's 150 quid plus,
It's about
plus,
150 quid plus. All of these locks are 150 pounds plus.
Yeah.
All of them, it never really looked like I was going to get through them, did it?
Not with one disc. I think you need multiple disc replacements.
Or like a really expensive diamond cutting disc that probably your average tea leaf isn't going to be isn't going to be
And
having.
let's be honest, like we gave you 2 minutes with each of the locks, and if you're not getting through it in 2 minutes, you're attracting quite a lot of attention to yourself, especially with the plumes of sparks.
And you're probably just moving on to the next bike with
literally
with an inferior lock.
100 meters down the road, there's one with one of these locks, which didn't withstand as much. So we started off with some really cheap locks, and let's be honest, they didn't last a whole heap of time.
They didn't last a whole, and you only have to cut them once because there's enough play to get them over a bike or over.
So this one is the 30 quid cheap Halfords one, whereas I would probably, out of all these cheaper locks, if I'm not willing to spend 150 quid on a lock, I reckon it's this one I would go for, the Halfords Advanced. It wasn't angle grinder proof.
No, it took me about 90 seconds to get through this.
But you had to cut both sides because here you can see that it's got far less play.
It's sufficiently good, well made, with sufficiently tight tolerances that you couldn't just twist it, get it over the frame. So you had to cut it twice. And actually it was a pretty decent lock for 50 quid. I mean, you know, it's not going to protect your bike forever, but it's probably better than the next lock in the rack. Yeah.
This master lock chain, this looks like a really serious bit of kit.
Looks beefy, doesn't it? And actually the lock's probably pretty decent.
Yeah.
But we cut through that with some bolt croppers.
Well,
and only little bolt croppers,
we had to decide where we were cutting. So we decided to go for the chain. We decided it was going to have to be cut twice. Went for the chain rather than the mini D-lock.
And actually not too hard. The other thing that's a disappointment, generally speaking, is link locks.
Oh, they were... Yeah, none of them lasted that long. So
we didn't get through any with the bolt croppers. We had a good old go.
We've got this, was this Kryptonite?
That's a Kryptonite one.
And
There's
the
an Abbas one here.
None of them survived very long at all. But
no, and because they're articulated like this, you're only ever going to need to cut them once.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they are quite practical. You can fit that in your backpack easier, or a lot of them come with mounts to put them on your frame.
Yeah, so for popping into the shops or something like that, probably fine, but you wouldn't want to leave your bike around all day.
Definitely.
Get locked up with one of those.
So yeah, the cables, we got through them really quite quickly with the bolt croppers, and if you can't get them through with the bolt croppers, then you can stick an angle grinder on them and you throw them in no time, unless you set fire to your own shoe.
Yeah, there was that.
Let's move on to the winner's trolley, because here we've got 7 locks, was it, that we didn't manage to get through?
7 locks that in 2 minutes, this one's still warm. that in 2 minutes we didn't manage to get through. And realistically, we weren't even close to getting through any of these.
I think all of these are going to take more than 2 discs of what we had.
Yeah. Special mention for me goes to this On Guard Rock Solid. I've never ever seen a cutting disc die so quickly.
Blitzed itself,
literally within 10 seconds. I'd never got anywhere near trying to cut that.
Yeah, now if I get to do a special mention, which I've just given myself permission to do, this one, the Light Lock X1. This was the cheapest lock of that bunch there.
Yep.
150 quid. It's pretty good.
We've put a dent in it, haven't we, in 2 minutes, but we weren't ever going to get through it. And you need to cut it twice because you're never going to get that round a bike or a frame. So realistically, your thief is going to be moving on.
Yeah, and also really quite light.
Really quite light.
I know the clue's in the name, but compared to the bulkier ones, like we've got the bulkier X3 there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, this really quite portable. You can stick that on your bike, and
And the really expensive locks did well. I mean,
they did.
This Squire's nearly £300.
Yeah.
I cut through a lot of rubber.
There is a lot of rubber damage.
But other than that, really, I haven't managed to mark it.
Sort of same thing with the Abus. Again, lots of rubber damage, but you can see like the metal.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of meat still there.
And we could say the same for the hip lock there. We could say the same for the Kryptonite New York as well. All of those solid locks that will definitely protect you from, a quite serious attack from a thief.
Yeah. Now, I think one other thing that we learned is that the sold secure rating didn't necessarily translate into better results.
Into better results. I mean, take for example this one. It's the Oxford Chapel Pro D-Lock. Sold secure diamond.
Diamond?
Yeah. We got through this in what? 20? It was less than half a minute, 25 seconds.
This is the one that, you got through and you said that didn't part much of a fight.
And sometimes it's a bit like that. The sold secure ratings don't necessarily relate to exactly how locks get attacked in real life. That's the way it is.
I think with that one in particular, it comes with a cable. You're obviously paying extra for it to come with a cable. I mean, cables are nice, they stop your wheels getting nicked, so you can put them through. We did put them through the back wheel rather than the front wheel, which we know, don't hate us in the comments. The cables, none of them withstood a lot, did they?
No, you could get through all of them with bolt croppers, and to be honest, you could probably get through them with smaller, like cable cutters or bolt cutters as well.
Yeah.
The bigger bolt cutters are a bit unwieldy for that kind of job.
Yeah, so it definitely adds something, but also, if you're getting through the D-lock with your...
Yeah.
Then that slides off.
If you can get through the D-lock, then you can take the cable off, so
it
doesn't help in that instance, does it?
No, definitely.
So, you've heard about some of our favourite locks, but to help you choose which lock is best for you, we've compiled all of our results from this testing into this table. The column on the right then gives an overall road.cc destruction test score, which takes into account the price of the lock, the weight of the lock, and its performance in our angle grinder test. We've then scaled this result so that the best locks on test scored 100. Let's go through them. At just £30, the Halford's 23cm D-Lock was the cheapest in the test, but it wasn't the worst. It's light, it's cheap, and it withstood the angle grinder for 33 seconds, giving it a total score of 62 out of 100. The Master Lock chain gets the lowest of our scores because despite being cheap, it is heavy and was defeated by the bolt croppers, meaning that it didn't move on to stage 2 of our testing. Now, it has to be said that our scoring system takes into account what we want from a lock. For example, we've given the angle grinder resistance a higher weighting than other factors. You might therefore find it useful to look at the raw data to choose which is the best lock for you. The Squire Matterhorn and Master Lock U-Lock got pretty similar scores, pretty respectable ones in the 60s. The Halford's Advanced Lock, as we mentioned earlier, thoroughly impressed and would be our pick of the sub £150 locks. The low price and weight are backed up with an impressive result in the angle grinder resistance test. Next we have the Oxford Shackle, which doesn't score as high due to the highish weight and score in the angle grinder test. you're definitely compromising on the D-lock here somewhat to get that cable as well. The bigger of the Squier Matterhorns performed well across the board, but gets an overall score just a little bit lower than its baby brother due to its higher price and weight. The two hip locks are identical in price, but the lighter and more wearable one of the two picks up our higher score. Obviously, being wearable might be a big plus to you, and that's why we're reviewing fresh locks of all the options here, so that you can choose your favourites and then read the full reviews in far more detail over on the road.cc website. And then as for the other folding locks, well, none of them picked up overly high overall destruction scores, because despite being more expensive than the cheapest locks on test, they just weren't very angle grinder resistant. Again, they might be more practical though, so look out for our full reviews to see whether they can redeem themselves. And then we're on to our best performing locks. The Lightlock X1 and On Guard Rock Solid made mincemeat of our cutting discs, but it's their price, weight and that impressive angle grinder resistance that gives them the highest overall road.cc destruction scores. The Lightlock X3 also performed very well, certainly a good day for Lightlock. That's followed by the Hiplock D1000, which picked up the third best score of the day. As for the Kryptonite New York lock, Abbas Granite Super Extreme and Squier Stronghold, well, they all scored full marks in the angle grinder resistance test and still got a very good scores, but are weightier and heavier than the locks with the very high scores. Again, if you're after something different to us, i.e. pure angle grinder resistance, then it might be one of these big boys that is probably your best bet.
We will be doing full reviews of all of these locks, and they will be appearing on the road.cc website over the next few weeks. So yeah, make sure you don't miss them. We'll pop some links down in the description below. Let us know which one of these locks impressed you most, which ones surprised you with their poor performance, and let us know if we've missed any. If you like this sort of content, then please give it a like, subscribe to the channel for lots more bike stuff, and we'll see you next time.